his will. My sister screamed so loud it didn't sound human anymore. My mother didn't say a word. She just collapsed. And me? I sat there, frozen, staring at a piece of paper that suddenly made my entire life feel like a lie. Because 3 days after we buried my father, he destroyed us. Not with his death, but with what he left behind. It wasn't just money. It wasn't just betrayal. It was something far worse. A secret. A second life. Another family. And the worst part? He made sure we would find out, only after he was gone. Before I tell you what happened, I want to ask you something. Where are you watching from right now? What time is it where you are? And be honest. Do you really believe you know everything about the people closest to you? For 32 years, I believed my father was a good man. Not perfect, but solid. Dependable. The kind of man you build your life around. The kind of man you don't question. His name was Richard. And if you asked anyone who knew him, they'd tell you the same thing. He worked hard. He provided. He protected his family. Our family. Or at least, that's what we thought. Because after he died, we found out we weren't his only one. My name is Claire. And before everything fell apart, our life looked normal. The kind of normal people don't question. We lived in a quiet neighborhood. Tree-lined streets. Clean sidewalks. The kind of place where nothing bad ever seems to happen. Our house wasn't the biggest, but it was warm. Lived in. Full of memories. Sunday dinners at the same time every week. My mom cooking. My dad sitting at the head of the table like he always did. Routine. Structure. Predictability. That was him. My father wasn't affectionate. He didn't hug much. Didn't say, "I love you" out loud. But he showed it in other ways. He paid for everything. Made sure we were safe. Handled every problem before it could reach us. To me, that was love. To my mother, it was everything. She built her entire world around him. My mom loved my father in a way that's hard to explain unless you've seen it. Not loud love. Not dramatic. But deep. Quiet. Unquestioning. She trusted him completely. Never checked his phone. Never asked where he'd been. Never doubted him. Because why would she? He gave her no reason to. At least, not one she could see. There were two of us. Me, and my younger sister, Emily. We were different in every way. I was the responsible one. The calm one. The one who followed rules, and stayed close to home. Emily. Emily was fire. Emotional. Unpredictable. Always questioning everything. Especially him. Looking back now, Emily saw something I didn't. She used to say things like, "There's something off about him." Or, "He's hiding something." I know it. I always brushed it off. Because when someone has taken care of you your entire life, you don't go looking for reasons not to trust them. You protect that image. You defend it. Even when something doesn't feel right. There were moments. Small ones. The kind you forget easily. Or choose to. Late-night phone calls he'd take in another room. Trips he couldn't explain clearly. Weekends where he'd suddenly have to travel. And that drawer. Locked. Always locked. In his study. I asked him about it once. I must have been, maybe 16. He smiled. Calm. Controlled. And said. Just paperwork. Nothing interesting. And that was it. I didn't ask again. Because that's how trust works. You don't need answers when you believe the person would never lie. The call came on a Tuesday. Early morning. Too early for anything good. My mom answered it. And I knew before she even spoke. Like something inside her just dropped. Heart attack. Sudden. No warning. He was gone before anyone could do anything. The house felt different immediately. Quieter. Heavier. Like something had been pulled out of it. The funeral came fast. Too fast. People everywhere. Voices. Hugs. Condolences that didn't mean anything. Because none of it felt real. I remember standing there, looking at his casket. Thinking. This doesn't make sense. Because how does someone who held everything together just disappear? And what happens to everything they were holding when they're gone? Everyone said the same thing. He was a good man. A strong man. A family man. And we believed it. Even then. Even standing there. Even grieving. We believed it. Because we didn't know yet. 3 days later, we sat in a lawyer's office. Just the three of us. My mother. My sister. And me. The room felt cold. Too quiet. Like something was waiting. The lawyer was calm. Professional. He opened the folder slowly. Carefully. Like whatever was inside mattered. And then he started reading. At first, it was normal. Savings. Accounts. Assets. Things we expected. Things that made sense. And then, everything changed. The family home will be transferred in full ownership to my eldest daughter, Claire. I felt my stomach drop. I turned to Emily. Her face had already changed. "Excuse me, what?" she said. The lawyer didn't react. He just kept reading. "A smaller financial provision has been allocated to my younger daughter, Emily." "Smaller," she snapped. "What does that mean?" No one answered. And just like that, the first crack appeared. But it didn't stop there. There is one condition attached to the ownership of the house. We all looked up. The property may only remain within the family if both daughters reside in it together. Silence. Failure to meet this condition will result in the immediate sale of the property, with all proceeds donated. I felt something tighten in my chest. Emily laughed. But it wasn't real laughter. "You've got to be kidding me." He wasn't. And that's when everything started to unravel. The argument started immediately. Right there. In that room. "So you get everything?" Emily snapped. "And I get scraps." "I didn't ask for this," I said. "Of course you didn't. You never have to ask. You're his favorite." "That's not true." "It's always been true." My mom tried to speak. But her voice shook too much. "Girls, please." But it was too late. Because this wasn't just about money. It was about years of resentment. Unspoken tension. Things we never dealt with. And now, he had forced it all to the surface. Even in death, he was still controlling everything. But that wasn't the worst part. Not even close. Because a week later, I opened that locked drawer. And everything we thought we knew about him disappeared. The house felt different after the will reading. Not just quiet. Uncomfortable. Like it knew something we didn't. Emily barely spoke to me anymore. My mother stayed in her room most days. Moving like someone who had aged 10 years overnight. And me. I couldn't stop thinking about that condition in the will. "You must live together." It didn't feel like a request. It felt like a setup. And that's what led me back to his study. I hadn't been in that room since the funeral. It still smelled like him. Clean. Sharp. Controlled. Everything exactly where he left it. The desk sat in the corner. Untouched. And there it was. The drawer. Still locked. For a moment. I just stood there. Because opening it felt like crossing a line. Like whatever was inside wasn't meant for me. But something in me already knew. This wasn't about permission anymore. Sound, metal scraping softly. I didn't have the key. So I forced it open. The lock snapped. Too easily. And that's when I realized something I didn't expect. He hadn't hidden it well. At first, it didn't look like much. Just papers. Folders. Documents stacked neatly. But then I started reading. Bank statements. Transfers. Regular payments. Not to us. To someone else. Every month. 4 years. My hands started shaking. Because this wasn't random. This wasn't a mistake. This was a pattern. A life. And then I saw it. Tucked between 2 files. Almost like it had been placed there on purpose. A photograph. Pause, slow inhale sound. It wasn't my father. But he wasn't alone. There was a woman next to him. Smiling. Close. Too close. And 2 children. Standing in front of them. I stared at it for a long time. Trying to make sense of what I was seeing. Because something about it felt wrong. Too familiar. And then it hit me. The boy. Had his eyes. And the girl. Looked like Emily. I don't know how long I stood there. Minutes. Maybe longer. But one thought kept repeating in my head. Over and over. This can't be real. But it was. Because the more I searched, the worse it got. More documents. More evidence. A second address. School records. Medical bills. Receipts for birthdays we never knew existed. Vacations we were never part of. Memories he built somewhere else. While we sat at home thinking we were his whole world. He didn't just cheat. Voice cracks slightly. He built another family. Let me ask you something. If you were standing there, holding proof like that, would you confront your family immediately? Or would you keep digging, even if it destroyed you? Tell me what you would do. I didn't go to Emily first. I went to my mom. She was in the kitchen. Staring at nothing. I placed the photo in front of her. She didn't react at first. Just looked at it. Quietly. And then. Her hand started shaking. What is this? She whispered. I found it in his study. Silence. It's not real, she said. But her voice didn't believe it. Mom. She stood up suddenly. Backing away from the table. No, 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 this isn't happening. And then she broke. Not loudly. Not dramatically. Just collapsed into herself. I gave him everything, she whispered. Everything. And in that moment, I realized something worse than a lie. She had no idea. Emily didn't react like my mom. She exploded. I knew it, she shouted. I told you. I told both of you something was wrong with him. Emily, calm down. No. Don't tell me to calm down. She grabbed the photo. Staring at it like it had personally betrayed her. He replaced us. That's what this is. He replaced us. That's not what this means. Then what does it mean, Claire? I didn't have an answer. Because every explanation felt like a lie. After that, everything changed. Every memory felt contaminated. Family dinners. Fake. Holidays. Incomplete. Every business trip. A lie we believed. And the worst part, we didn't know how long it had been happening. Years. Decades. Our entire lives. We found it buried in the documents. A house. Not too far from ours. Close enough that he could move between both lives. Without us ever knowing. That realization made me feel physically sick. Do you think secrets like this always come out eventually? Or are some people able to live entire double lives without ever being caught? I want to hear what you think. We didn't tell my mom. She couldn't handle it. So it was just me and Emily. Driving. In silence. The address sitting in the GPS. Each turn feeling heavier than the last. What are we even doing? I finally said. Finding the truth, Emily replied. Her voice was cold. Colder than I had ever heard it before. It looked normal. That's what I remember most. Not rundown. Not hidden. Just another house. Like ours. Which somehow made it worse. Because it meant this wasn't a secret life in the shadows. It was real. Stable. Established. We stood there for a long time. Neither of us moving. Because once we knocked, there was no going back. No pretending. No denial. Just truth. And whatever came with it. Emily knocked. 3 times. And everything changed. A woman stood in the doorway. She looked at us. And froze. Not confused. Not surprised. She knew exactly who we were. You're his daughters, she said. And in that moment, we realized something terrifying. This wasn't a secret to her. We were.